This talk is part of the webinar Lament and Beyond, organized by the Seminary Theology Malaysia STM. Let me get the PowerPoints and we shall start. In this talk, I'll talk about spirituality, the spirituality of lament and beyond. We have a lot of reasons to lament because in this period of the pandemic, there are things that is happening to us. Suddenly, this tiny little virus, a single strand of RNA, just the size of 0.025 micron, brought the whole of our civilization to a standstill. Put hundreds and thousands of people and millions of people into cities in lockdown, infected and killed hundreds and thousands and millions of people. There is cause for lamentation. Lamentation is actually a grief process. As we lament, we're actually going to a grief. We grieve because we have lost something. Okay, we could have lost a person or persons, lost our things, our business, our job, our time. We in Malaysia, we are now in the as more than 50 days of the MCO or Movement Control Order. So actually, in effect, we lost 50 days of our life. The whole half of February and the whole August is gone, disappear, never to return. So we grieve, we lament. Okay, and when we lament, we are feeling the loss for a way of life that's gone forever. But you find that during the lament period, lamentation helps in also doing something new. It helps to review. There are 3 R's that I want to share. The first is to review. Okay, here I want to draw your attention to this painting by Rembrandt. The prophet Jeremiah mourning over the destruction of Jerusalem. And if you want to study lamentations, okay, the Jeremiah and the book of Lamentation is written by him. It's a very good study. And this is one of the biblical theme painting for Rembrandt, an artist that I enjoy because of his play with light and darkness. And here you can see that Jeremiah mourning over the destruction of Jerusalem, which is lamentation, okay, which is also revealing what are the weaknesses of the society that Jeremiah stays in. It was the kingdom of Judah, the last kingdom after the northern kingdom was destroyed by the Assyrians. And Judah, the southern kingdom, lies between the superpower, the Babylonians and the Egyptians. And the people, in many ways, are led by ungodly kings false prophets, priests and wise men who tell the people that peace, peace, peace when there's no peace. Who tend to give spiritual strokes instead of wise spiritual wisdom. And the people have turned back to God, away from God actually, turned back to their idols. Okay. And they feel that as long as they follow the cultic worship in the temple, as long as the temple is there, God will never abandon them. So you see that the destruction of Jerusalem and the book of Lamentation and the book of Jeremiah give us an indication of the act of lamentation. The book of Jeremiah is actually looking ahead, warning the people, while the book of Lamentation is looking back, mourning. And as we look at our pandemic, our lamentation in the pandemic, is also the first hour of revealing. It's a grief reaction. It's revealing that we have lost the way of life in 2019, gone forever. Even after the pandemic is over, we will never go back to the way we have been. We can never return to normalcy. But it's all revealed that our whole civilization, our whole society is like a house of cards. And just take one little virus to tear it down. So the whole way of living is living in a way of delusion. That we can do everything. We do not need God. That everything is adequate for our needs because of human abilities. As long as we have money, the rich oppress the poor, corruption goes in government, and they think that everybody can get away with it because God will not do anything. And there's the same as the people in Jerusalem. They felt that as long as they have the temple, they can do anything they like, and God will not do anything. So that's why in Lamentation reveals what they are, and also during the lamentation, it removes. And we find that there is during when the Jerusalem fell to King Nebuchadnezzar of the Babylons. It was a horrible period when Nebuchadnezzar, the Babylons besieged Jerusalem for 30 months. Bad things happened. The people were so starving that mothers even eat their children. And when the Jerusalem fell, it was wholesale destruction. And the people were led into exile. And you can see that here Rembrandt has put it very graphically. His interpretation, you can see that on this side, the Jerusalem burning, the temple burning, and you can actually see a man here, okay, who is blinded. There's King Zedekiah, the last king of Judah, who was caught by Nebuchadnezzar. Who forced him to watch as his sons were killed, and then he gouged out his eyes. So Rembrandt has put that in, the destruction of Jerusalem. And then you see on this side, the sadness, the lamentation on the face of Jeremiah. And Rembrandt has included a book that Jeremiah is leaning on. Okay. And if you look close up, it's a biblio, a book. Some suspect that it's a book of Jeremiah. You can see there are some articles here which Jeremiah has sort of rescued from the burning temple, and also part of the veil from the temple itself. So We lament because we realize that we are we were living on a society that is built on a house of cards. That society has been propped up. That the life that we thought was normal wasn't normal. It was propped up, and there was a lot of things that were wrong. We were broken people in a broken world. That's why the lamentation, the third R is to reset. There's a need for us to reset. And the virus, in a way, has caused us to rethink the whole of society. And as you look at the book of Lamentation by Jeremiah, there were 5 chapters, and you would think that, oh no, this is all over for the God's chosen people. Okay, you find that the book actually can fold. Okay, and right in the middle of the book, you have one side, Jerusalem's desolation, the other side is the remnant's response, God's judgment, God's anger, and Jeremiah's response. And right in the middle of the book, okay, you have this verse, Lamentation chapter 3, verse 21 to 25, which is very familiar to all of us. That in the midst of the destruction of the temple, in the midst of the lamentation that they feel at the loss of the way of life, loss of their friends, loss of their families, loss of all the properties and all that, yet this I call to mind, and therefore I have hope. Because of the Lord's great love, we are not consumed, for his compassions never fail. They are new every morning. Great is your faithfulness. I say to myself, the Lord is my portion, therefore I will wait for him. The Lord is good to those whose hope is in him, to those who seek him. So you see that as we lament during this time of pandemic, but we can also move beyond lament because there's hope. God is the same yesterday, today, and tomorrow. And his compassion never fails. So there's always hope for us. During the pandemic and after the pandemic. So how do we grow spiritually? How do we maintain our spiritual life during the MCO and post-MCO? Yes, life, we must deal with our lamentation. We must deal with our lament. We must remove the denial that many of us live in. That we think that, oh, once the MCO is lifted, we can go back to life as normal, as before, as in early 2019, where we can gather together as a church and have celebration and all that. No, that way of life is gone forever. We have to look forward and prepare that a new way of life, a new way of normalcy has come to be. And it's a way of hope. It's not failure. Okay. And what does this new life enclose? Yeah, a new normalcy. And we talk about reimagining church. How are we going to do church? Okay. How are we going to worship God? Can we gather together in a church like before, in a closed auditorium? Or do we have to, we still have to do social distancing? Okay, that means our church auditorium will be separated into sparse, less chairs, less seats. Can we still sing songs during worship? No, because with the studies have done that when singing songs, we are actually dispersing as much saliva and all that as much as if we have sneezed. So singing together as a congregation is out. Okay, so there are many changes: business, communication, work, and education. Just want to draw your attention to this text, Guidance for Churches in the Coronavirus Era, which as a group of us have got together to think about how to do church when the MCO is lifted and when the government allows church service to resume. So the spirituality, how we have to realize that things have changed. And we have to realize that there is connectivism, which means that now we have, in our time when we are all forced to go online, in our 50 plus days of depending online, we have changed the way of thinking. Our brain has been rewired to think differently. Instead of the usual way of thinking, we're thinking using connectivism, which is connecting nodes or information sources that we can get all over, either from the social media or from other sources. And then and because of the interconnectivity of the internet, okay, we have a new source of learning through the cyberspace. So the way we learn, the way we connect have changed, whether we acknowledge it or not. The way we we practice our spiritual life has also changed. Okay. The MCO has forced us into a new way of thinking, a new way of being, and that is very important. Okay. Yes, there's still a place for old church, brick and mortar churches, and that used to be the symbol of our spirituality. Okay. I'm not saying that we no longer need that. What I'm saying is that we need to think beyond that, that we have actually moved to a new way of Christian spirituality, that we reimagine spirituality in a new sacred space. Yes, we still have church buildings, we still meet there, but now we have discovered that we actually have moved beyond the church building. You know what is the most dear thing to us during the MCO? That we have it with us all the time? That we sometimes can leave our children behind, but we never leave it behind? The handphone. And it's connectivity. And I think that the new spirituality that will come will be very connected with the handphone and the internet and the cyberspace. And I think that for the first time in the history of the church, we have the means to reach, to share the gospel to the ends of the earth. May God grant us the will to go forth. So you see, things, the new normalcy is no longer the old normalcy. There are new ways to do things, new way, and it's time that we explore the new ways of doing things. Thank you.